Welcome back to the middle of Dublin City, where the two purple chairs are carrying us all the way through. And today we have, he's a friend I suppose, but he's a great guy called Jon Jerromes from Pinergy, who's going to explain everything from renewable energy and how smart tech works for him in his business and how we can understand a little bit more. So, welcome, Jon.
Thank you very much.
To the purple chair.
Honoured to be on the purple chair.
This is,
yeah, it's nice.
We won't charge you.
I'll get a lap around the track afterwards somewhere.
So what we got you in for is, a lot of people hear these flick words and they don't know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's really to explain renewable energy, smart tech, because you guys are very tech-based in how people consume the energy and how they see where the energy goes.
Yeah.
So firstly, what is renewable energy?
Look, in a nutshell, renewable energy is anything that is produced by means other than your old fossil fuels.
Okay.
So wind, air, sea, sun.
Yeah.
Solar is obviously the big one at the moment.
So we should be like on an island of Ireland. We should be getting free energy at this stage with all the wind.
It's certainly a perfect location. I mean, the wind constantly blows. You know, it's an island. It's surrounded by water.
Why don't we?
Red tape, legislation, legacy.
It's funny because every conversation we have is always to do with red tape, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's painful. But like, I presume, is there ever going to be in the future where we will, like when the red tape is passed, will it be that kind of level of consumption that we'll be able to get solely from the island?
Probably never solely, but certainly a much bigger percentage than we get now, and it should be more than aspirational, because we all hear you talk about sound bites and snippets and words that people chuck out, and we talk about the 2030 goals and the deadlines, and people take them as lip service because they see them as aspirational rather than actually something that can and will happen. But there's no reason why it shouldn't. There's plenty of international companies that would like to explore more offshore and onshore wind and solar in Ireland. I mean, there's a couple of big solar farms being built now. Ireland's definitely behind the curve, but there's no reason why it can't catch up, because you're pushing an open door, certainly now the energy prices, you know. And
in terms of, but Ireland isn't too small for big companies to come in, is it?
No, I think it's ripe for it because of its, I mean, you look at data farms and you know, they're huge, great data centres all around Ireland, and they are a perfect place to be, humidity-wise, temperature-wise, and all that sorts of stuff. So Ireland will be looked at and will be engaged with in any business area if there's opportunity, and there's opportunity there. But,
there's always
it's just
opportunity.
very slow.
And there's such pressures on it to go that direction. And in terms of, so we get to renewable energy, because you guys are 100% renewable energy.
Yep, 100% green. Always have been. It's been an ethos, so we've never had to do a 180 and say, oh, now we're going to jump on the let's be green bandwagon. We've always done that. It comes at a cost, but you know, there's a cost benefit to having that, and that's what more and more people are demanding now. They want green energy, even from their suppliers. Won't deal with other suppliers unless their their green credentials are in place.
So it's kind of good, because we hear the price is this, but it's not really about price. It's about if you want to be the real deal, whether it's a business or an individual, when it comes to, you know, I have an EV and all that kind of stuff, you have to do it right.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
and cost will always be, obviously cost will be a big thing, but it shouldn't be the only thing ever.
No, it can't be a one-legged stool. And like whoever's going to be watching this, they're all in different businesses and different industries. There's always someone cheaper than them out there. But you know, that's what they're competing against in a market where nobody wants to race to the bottom. Price is important, but in energy for a home user or a business, what you use is what you use, unless you have sight of how you use it and you can change it. It's all about consumption-based analysis.
So you guys then, with the tech side of it, the smart metering stuff, right? So people hear this word smart metering. What actually is it?
Okay, so probably more people hear the word smart metering now because it's associated with the rollout of changing domestic homes en masse in Ireland, from old analogue meters where someone turns up every 3 months and goes around the side of your house and you wonder what they're doing. They're taking a read, or they put in an estimate.
I usually send them into my neighbours.
Yeah, my mother's been reading the wrong meter for years. She got a couple of grand back. People upstairs were using loads. That's the truth. But Yeah, so really the rollout, whilst it's seen and as something that will help the consumer, actually the rollout is all about making it more efficient for the ESB, if you like, to be able to
not send people
suck
out
in that data without having to send people out to read it. But from a consumer point of view, like we've always put in smart meters in a domestic environment. That has always been about giving people consumption-based analysis in your hand, because if someone says to me, you're very expensive, and I'd say based on what? And they say based on how much my bill is at home, and I'd say that's fine. Okay, just give me some context.
the bill they don't understand.
Yeah. How much do you use at home? I know how much I spend. Yeah, I know how much you spend, but how much do you use? Don't know.
No clue.
That's the problem. No clue.
Yeah.
So until we establish a baseline, which is the most important thing, find out what you spend, understand your baseline, and from that, start changing behaviours. And if you change behaviours as an individual or as a family or as a business from the CEO down, and let that trickle down to the companies without changing providers on this perpetual need for people to think the best way to get a better deal and spend less is to change every year. If you start actually understanding what you use, you can make changes that will save you double-digit percentage savings. You know?
So that's like, so when you say take your washing machine, it's you put a device and then you plug it into that device and that can read what the washing machine gives you.
At a granular level.
And a small level.
Yeah, at a granular level, absolutely.
So then obviously it gets more technical, but in terms of smartness is that, right, we'll go off to school and the kids are gone, and then we lash on the dishwasher, we lash on and all at peak times.
Yeah.
So we're obviously mincing the energy out of it.
Yeah.
Whereby with your tech or that type of tech, we can then see between 7:30 and 8 is where we use the most energy, then nothing happens during the day, and then 6 to 8 or whatever the dynamic is. So then you can say then we'll use them devices.
See, with smart metering, the interval data that we produce back is 30-minute interval data, so you can see it at that
which is amazing.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But what it also does is it gives you like for like, so you can understand someone else through when you're coming on board and you go through the various steps. You know, you'll be building a profile. Am I 2, 3, 4 people in the house? Is it semi? Is it detached? Am I at home during the day? Am I away? Am I a weekend worker? And from that you build a profile. That then builds your app. On the back of that you start seeing your activities through your app. And if you do something today and you say, well, do you know what? I'm going to turn some of these lights off. I'm not going to come down. You don't come down in the morning and turn every light on in the house.
Yeah.
So why would you turn all the rads on? Why wouldn't you start looking at investing in thermatically controlled?
Right. So you could actually turn them on and off.
Yeah, and start measuring it that way. Because once you have your baseline and you understand that, you can lean it out as much as you can do. You can only lean it out as much as at some point you're going to get to the, well, that's what I need to consume to be at 100% of my requirements as a house. So this gives you the power in your hand. And I think one of the things that we'd always say to people is, like, we've all gone through 2 years of lockdown. Every day we've looked at the screen and every day it's been analysis. This is how many cases, this is how many positive. We didn't have the analysis behind it. I mean, what would we be told?
Yeah.
I think there's more people sick, or I think some people are getting better. So it's all about the analysis, spewing out the data. And if you take that and learn from it, your behaviour will change. And then the price becomes irrelevant. It's your consumption that is the most important.
But then it's the consumption, the value of the consumption data then changes your habits as well.
100%.
Because, and then stuff like, is this just a myth, like stuff like LED lights, changing LED lights, that make a big difference?
Yeah, huge.
Does
about
it?
An 80% saving per bulb if you went to LED over good old-fashioned regular.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
So there's some things you can immediately change. And once you have to be comfortable with understanding and committing to the concept of
and the full
what
picture.
I do, the full picture. What I do can change the outcome. And that is understand your baseline first of all. There's no point changing. I would never say to somebody, get the smart metering in and then change all your lights. Get the smart metering in, find your baseline.
See where you're at.
Say, okay, that's today, that's yesterday, I did this today, tomorrow, okay, I see the benefit of that. And then start getting into lighting. Make that change. These are. They used to be big expensive chips. They're not anymore. They're cheap as chips.
Yeah. But it's a bit like health, So there's no point. Like we were talking before about swimming and all them and running. There's no point in saying, "All right, well I'll start and I'll gradually do that." if you don't know where you're starting from.
100%.
And it's the same
If
thing.
you take on a coach, the first thing a coach will say to you is, I need to assess your baselines.
Yeah.
But we don't do it in business, and we don't do it in the home environment, in electricity, and in a business environment now where the bill is a substantial part of someone's P&L.
Yeah.
You know, it's that some people don't even know what, it's a red bill, I think it's a green bill. You know, like it really is. You know, they'll sit in a boardroom and try and shave 0.5% off their costs or their transport, whatever. You can save double-digit savings off your utilities.
It's kind of because, as you said, it's in the news all the time now. But it's screaming at them now on a business level. So they're forced to do. They're forced to do it from two sides, right? It's the accounting going, listen, our bills have gone up 60%.
Yeah.
And then it's the government saying, well, you're going to have to start becoming more carbon neutral, and et cetera, because we've got targets for 2030 and beyond. So you need to look at solar, you need to look at this. So it is a crescendo from both sides that they really have to look at it. And then obviously the smart metering on the business side of things is critical, really.
Critical.
Especially for factories or shops with fridges and all them basic things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, we would take a chain of coffee shops we'd look after, and you'd get, there's just, people are creatures of habit. You go to the gym, generally you go to the same locker, and if someone's at your locker, you're like, why is he at my locker? That's my locker. There's 400 other lockers, but that's your locker, because you've always gone to it. Like, there's people that go and they're on the morning shift in the coffee shop, they go in, they turn all the lights on, they turn all the heaters on, they turn 4 of the coffee machines on. Where actually, when they look at throughput by their usage patterns, they only might need to turn on 2 of the coffee machines, because they don't need to run everything, so they can turn on the 2, and then next day they can look at it and say, oh my God, see the difference, see the drop in the visuals. People like visuals. People are generally visually stimulated. You know, you show them graphs and things, and if it's going down, great.
Figures.
Yeah.
And what about, so that's commercial and home. So it's this governmental thing where you pay money back. So we get solar on the house or in the business, and we use it as much as we can, or we have battery storage, but then we have excess and we send it back to the grid. Do they actually pay you for it now?
Yep.
That's done now?
That's done.
Residential and business?
Yeah, there is a spill payment here.
And is it ridiculously small? I presume it is. Would it pay for a coffee a month?
More than pay for a coffee, yeah.
Would it?
Yeah.
And a scone?
Yeah. With jam?
No jam. But would it, and will that...
You have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere. But again, very slow to get this up and running. A lot of red tape. It's been introduced. There's a lot of learnings from it. But it's a win for everybody. The government and the power companies need to take pressure off the grid, especially at peak times, for people to be able to spill back in and make money. It also means that they are not putting pressure on the grid, and the government is using that feed-in, if you like, back into the grid to take pressure for those that do need it at a certain time. It's a win-win. It's just an education.
Will that stay at a certain rate, or will it increase as more people do it? How does that work?
In terms of the buyback spill rate, no, it'll change. It'll
fluctuate, I suppose.
It will fluctuate, but generally it'll fluctuate over a lesser degrees of time, because there'll be a commitment over a 12-month or a 24-month period or whatever. But yeah, there's always a chance. I mean, we don't know what's happening tomorrow in Ukraine. Hopefully life gets better and there's some sort of ceasefire and agreement. But whilst that's so up in the air and we're dictated by that and then the weather factors and stuff like that, then it's very difficult to predict.
Yeah,
it's a huge algorithm.
It is, and there's so many things feeding into it, whether it's the war in Ukraine, all that kind of stuff, and it goes in. But the most important thing to take from this is that you can be in control of it.
100% in control, and it's totally transparent. What you do in your actions has a direct consequence of your spend and your because your consumption will change.
Yeah, it's incredible. So just on that, thanks John for coming in.
You're welcome.
It's great to have it. And again, explain it in simple terms that we can all understand, and knowing that it's not, like, price is a very important factor, but it's not always the important thing. It's more about being in control, how you get your energy and how you distribute it, where you get it from, and what you spend on it, etc. So hopefully you took some value. If you like it, subscribe and press notifications. And from John and me, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.